Good afternoon, although it looks like evening right now to everybody here. Welcome to the Finance Committee regular meeting for Wednesday, November 12th. Can I get a roll call? Well, first of all, do I have to do this? We get a roll call first? Motion first? Okay. Okay, a quorum of the members I see is physically present. I will entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present due to the personal illness or disability, employment purposes, or the business of the board, family or other emergency or unexpected childcare obligations to participate by video or teleconference. I have a motion by member Heather, second by member Evans. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, a motion carries. Welcome, member LaPlante and member Childress. Okay. Do we have any public comment for today? Or now we do the roll call. Okay, yes, roll call, please.
Member Cahill. Here. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Cover.
Here.
Member Dessart. Here. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Here. Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Heather. Here. Member Honig. Here. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Here.
Member Martinez. Member Ozak. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Here.
And Member Zay.
Okay, now do we have any public comment? No one public comment there? Any public comments in here? No, okay. I'm gonna move on. We've got a really busy schedule, so I'm not really gonna give any chairman's remark right now. May I get a motion to approve the minutes for 25-2632 for the regular meeting Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. I've got a motion by, member Tornatori, second by member Honig. Any questions on this? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to budget transfers. May I get a motion to approve 25-2744 transfer of funds from subscription IT arrangements to IT equipment capital lease in the amount of $165 to fulfill the budget shortage in the recorder's office. May I get a motion to approve? Motion by member Heather, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this? All those in favor then? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 25-2743 budget transfers for 11/12/2025 for various companies and accounting units. Motion by member Heather. Second by member Martinez. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, procurement requisitions, and I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you very much. I move for approval on 25-2747, recommendation for the approval of funding to Mumkus LLC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorney for the period December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Motion by member Cahill, our Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0019-25, recommendation for the approval of funding to Mumkus LLC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $70,000, appointed as a special assistant state's attorney by the state's attorney's office pursuant to DuPage County procurement ordinance.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0020-25, recommendation for the approval of funding to the Sotos Law Firm PC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $120,000, appointed as a special assistant state's attorney by the state's attorney's office pursuant to DuPage County procurement ordinance.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Covert. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0021-25. Recommendation for the approval of funding to O'Hagan Meyer to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period of September 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $100,000. Appointed as a special assistant state's attorney by the state's attorney's office pursuant to DuPage County procurement ordinances.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0022-25. Recommendation for the approval of funding to Hervis, Condon, and Bersani PC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period October 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $75,000. Appointed as a special assistant state's attorney by the state's attorney's office pursuant to DuPage County procurement ordinance.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0023-25. Recommendation for the approval of funding to Rock Busco and Conley LLC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $120,000. Appointed as a special assistant state's attorney by the state's attorney's office pursuant to DuPage County procurement ordinance.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0017-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to EDU Solutions for IT consultant services for the Regional Office of Education for the period of November 15th, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $45,000.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIP 0018-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Casco International DBA CA Short Company to provide employee service awards for milestone anniversaries for human resources for the period December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $31,797.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Evans. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. Moving on to ETSB and Member Shorzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on ETSR 6925, resolution approving the sale of inventory from the County of DuPage on behalf of the Emergency Telephone System Board of DuPage County to the Adams County for an amount of $56,000.
Got a motion by Member Shorzy, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any motion carries. And moving on to Human Services now, and Member Shorzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on HSP 5425, recommendation for the approval of a contract to DuPage Federation on Human Services Reform to provide face-to-face and telephonic interpreter services and translation services to assist clients in community services, primarily for the Senior Services Unit, and to provide American Sign Language services both for the Finance Department and Community Services for the period of December 1st, 25 through November 30th, 26 for a contract total amount of $34,000.
Got a motion by Member Shorzy, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Member Shorzy. And moving on to Judicial and Public Safety and Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on JPSP 48-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to ThinkGuard to provide compliance as a service for the Sheriff's Office for the period of November 11th, 2025 through February 28th, 2027 for a contract total amount not to exceed $38,156.25.
Got a motion by Member Evans. A second, I believe, was from Vice Chair Cahill. Question by Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I was looking over the documents and I couldn't, what is ThinkGuard Compliance as a Service? What is this contract for?
Is there anyone here from the Sheriff's Office?
They're online.
Okay.
And then my second question, once we pull somebody up online, the required vendor ethics disclosure form has been left blank, and I wondered if that was purposeful or not. I'm looking at the state's attorney. Shouldn't it have a vendor's ethics disclosure form filled out?
Uh,
Yeah, there is one in the packet, but there's nothing on it.
Okay, we
Just
got
saying.
Valerie coming from procurement, and I believe someone is online to answer your first question.
This is Deputy Chief Bilodeau. Can you hear me okay?
I can't hear you, yes. Did you hear her question?
I did. So ThinkGuard, the service that they're providing is to maintain CGIS, HIPAA, and ADA compliance, both internally and externally for our websites, for our app, and for all of the documents and information internally and externally for CGIS, HIPAA, and ADA compliance.
Okay, thank you. And
The vendor ethics, if that was blank, that was not, that has to be an error of some sort. We did get the vendor ethics because we would not have sent it over without that. So I can ensure tomorrow when we're back in the office that we have the filled out vendor ethics for the board.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Any other questions on this item? All in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Public Works, we got Member Childress. Can you speak, Member Childress? I think you got a call.
Jim's gonna take over for me.
Did you want Vice Chair Zay to take it? Okay, thank you. We'll have
Yes.
Vice Chair Kay, I'll read it. Or Jay, sorry.
We look the same.
Yeah, not.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FMP 52-25, approve a contract issued to Valdez Supply to furnish and deliver restroom tissue and bathroom towers for JOF, JKT Administration Building, Jail, and on a monthly basis and needed for the Power Plant, Children's Center, Office of Emergency Management, and the Coroner's Office for Facilities Management from December 1st, 2025, November 30th, 2026, amount of $104,794.16. This is the third and final option to renew.
Got a motion by Member Zay, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Stormwater and back to Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 21-25, a contract, approval of contract issued to Scarce for professional education service for stormwater management from the period of December 1st, 2025, November 30th, 2026, amount not to exceed $235,000. This is the second of three options to renew.
Motion by Member Zay, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 22-25, approval of contract issued to V3 companies for on-call drainage professional engineering services, stormwater management from November 12th, 2025 through November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $75,000. This is professional service in compliance with the Illinois Local Government Professional Services Act, vetted through our qualified base selection process.
Yeah, motion by Member Zay, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 23-25, approval of contract issued to Water Well Solutions, Illinois to furnish all equipment, labor, material, tools, and supervision necessary for well cleaning at the Wooddale Itasca Reservoir for stormwater management from December 1st, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $181,889,000 per lowest responsible bid.
Motion by Member Zay, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 24-25, approval of contract issued to WBK Engineering for on-call professional engineering services for stormwater management from November 12th, 2025 through November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $60,000. This is the first and only option.
Motion by Member Zay, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 25-25, approve a contract issued to civil and environmental consultants for on-call land surveying services for stormwater management from November 12th, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $50,000.
Got a motion by Member Zay, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Madam
Member Zay. Going on to technology and Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to combine 7G1 through 7G7.
The motion to combine 7G1 through 7G7. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Those items are combined.
Thank you. I move on TEP 00188-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Verizon Wireless for wireless tablet and machine services for the Sheriff's Office, Division of Transportation, Stormwater and Public Works for the period of November 16th, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $33,510, contract pursuant to Governmental Joint Purchasing Act. I move on TEP 19-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to CDW Government for Microsoft Enterprise Agreement for all Microsoft software and Azure cloud services for GIS and information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028, for a total contract amount of $4,095,838.65, contract pursuant to the Governmental Joint Purchasing Act. I move on TEP 20-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to BDO USA LLP for the annual software maintenance of FireEye security software for information technology for the period of December 10th, 2025 through December 9th, 2026, for a contract total amount of $189,409. This is the third and final optional renewal per lowest responsible bid. I move on TE-P-21-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to She International Corp. For an enterprise term lease agreement with Adobe Systems, Inc. for Adobe software licensing for use by DuPage County and the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County for information technology for the period of December 10th, 2025 through December 9th, 2026, for a contract total of $155,994.59, contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act. The Forest Preserve will be charged back for their portion of this purchase. I move on TE-P-22-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to MHC Software, Inc. for annual maintenance of the enterprise content management system that integrates with the ERP system for finance and human resources for information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026, for a contract total amount of $91,930.60, not suitable for competitive bids. I move on TE-P-23-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Critical Power Solutions Group LLC for the procurement and delivery of an uninterruptible power supply for information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026, for a contract total amount of $83,748 per lowest responsible bid. And I finally move on TE-P-24-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Granicus LLC for annual support and hosting of Legistar legislative management software and streaming services for information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026, for a total contract amount of $45,066.22 per cooperative purchasing agreement pricing in compliance with Governmental Joint Purchasing Act.
We got motions by member Covert, a second by member Desart. Questions? Oh, member you. Oh, I'm sorry. Member you. Any questions on any of these items? All in favor of all these items then?
Aye.
Any opposed? These all pass.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you to member Covert. Moving on to transportation and member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of 25-2680, amendment to DTR 79A23, rescind prior approved local public agency agreement due to change in project cost participation, and approve updated local public agency agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for County Highway 9 Lamont Road and County Highway 31 87th Street. Estimated county cost $4,591,614.
A motion by member Ozog, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 3425 intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois State Toll Highway Authority for certain portions of the bridge improvements at the Ronald Reagan Memorial Tollway I-88 and its crossroad bridges with a total estimated county cost of $1,857,217.06.
A motion by member Ozog, second by member Zay. Any discussion on these items? This item, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 3525, agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois, and Oxcart Permit Systems LLC, overweight, overdimension permitting services as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2029, no county cost.
I got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Covert. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Ozog. Going on to finance resolutions, we're going to go back to Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0190-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Home Weatherization Assistance Program, Grant Program Year 26, intergovernmental agreement for the weatherization unit for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 26th, 2026, in the amount of $638,116.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Desart. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. I move for approval on FIR 0191-25, acceptance of an extension of time for the DuPage County Health Department Heroin Opioid Prevention and Education First Offender Court Unified for Success Court Grant Fiscal Year 21 Probation and Court Services.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by, member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. I move for approval on FIR 0192-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Public Defender Services Grant Program Year 26 intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $50,250 for the Public Defender's Office.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Yu. Is there any discussion on this item? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. I refuse to move for approval on FIR 0194-25, and I therefore turn it over to the Chair.
Okay, so I'm going to move for approval on FIR 0194-25 for the additional appropriation for the general fund company of 1,000 accounting units 4200 and 4220 for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $268,159 for the county clerk's office.
Second.
Got a second by, I think, member Desart, is that correct? Okay, and we've got a lot of people who want to question this. We did have someone from the clerk's office here. Oh, he's over here. Did you want to give it, you want to give an update on this before we have discussion? Okay, we'll just have you here in case there's any questions. Okay. Got member Ozog. Okay, member Ozog, you first.
Okay, I have sat on boards, elected boards for 15 years, and this is my 7th year on this board. And I cannot recall seeing an amount of over $250,000 requested because a department or a division ran out of money. And that's what I think we're looking at here. The board approves the budget, and the irony of asking us for this money that you don't have, and the reason we have balanced budgets is because you don't spend money that you don't have, is not lost on me. The clerk's office has filed numerous lawsuits against the board because we have asked them to follow regular practices for budgeting, and here we are, over $250,000 request. I also have to note that the clerk is not here. A week and a half ago, many of us who are running for office turned in our petitions. The clerk was there greeting everybody. The clerk turned in her own petitions, and I think she should be here tonight. $250,000. If you want to keep your job, you have to do your job. All of us here are doing our job, and our job is to have a checks and balances on the budget that we approve, and that's what we're looking at here, $250,000. So my question for Mr. Johnson, looking at the problem at hand, do you have any other available funds in any line item in your budget to cover this shortfall?
We certainly do not have available funds to cover the $260,000. There are small amounts in individual line items. Obviously, that there may be, when you get to the end of the fiscal year, a few $1,000s here or there. We, put the amount of the specifically needed expenses that were not funded in this appropriation request. I can't say definitively that, at the end of the year, there may not be, $5,000, $10,000 kind of left, unspent in individual line items, but there's certainly not a stash of unspent money that would cover the general amount requested.
Okay, I would like to ask the finance, I'd like to ask finance to weigh in on this situation and let us know what your take is on this.
So when this request did come in, Jennifer Sid and myself then did an analysis on the two accounting units, the clerk's office and the elections division. So when you combine those, we're seeing a projected shortfall at November 30th of $58,759.21. The county clerk's office will have a surplus of $159,392, but the elections division will have a deficit of $218,151. So combined again, both of those accounting units for the clerk's department is short $58,759.
So you show that the clerk's office has about $140,000, $150,000 available,
Yes, but the majority of that still being in salaries,
being in the salary. Okay.
salary line item.
And that has not been expended in our year ends in 2 weeks.
That's correct.
Okay, so that could be transferred to cover these election division expenses.
Yes, a portion of that could be, again, there's
Obviously not salaries that
Yeah.
need to be paid out in the next 2 weeks, but that seems like a considerable amount. So say that what we're actually talking about is more of a $50,000 to $60,000 amount that needs to be covered.
That's what we're seeing right now as of
Okay.
the date. Of course, we don't know in finance what's currently out there, what's been obligated by the department to spend or what might not be in the accounting system yet.
Okay.
Keep in mind, though, that at November 30th, it's not really a hard close. There's 60 days beyond the fiscal year where there may be goods and services that are incurred that could be charged back to 2025.
Right,
So
but
this will keep playing
2025
out.
is closed and anything coming in afterwards will be applied to 2025.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Ozak. Member you?
All right, so last time the clerk actually came and they presented a certain amount of information, they did not provide us with a full budget. They didn't give us actual expenses. They are giving us information piecemeal, which makes it really, really difficult for us to have a full financial picture. And the county board needs to have a full financial picture in order for us to give more money or less money or whatever it is. So there is a lot of frustration, I think, expressed many, many times, that despite the fact that I really appreciated the clerk did come the last time, it was a lot of too little, too late. And I really, really would like to know why it is that they're asking for 268,159. So that is both the 257,159 plus the $11,000 from postage and other things for their clerk's office. And correct me if I'm wrong, they actually had payroll increases that amounted to 265,750. So it's 268,159 versus 265,750. That all came from payroll. That was salary raises. Is that right, Jeff?
That's correct.
And that all was from last year. Were they notified that if they were to make these huge increases of $265,750, that they might run out of money?
I believe that was suggested to them at a board meeting early on in the fiscal year, that if you do these, you will run out of money.
Yes, okay. So, and here's my other concern too, is it true that even if we were to give this money, could we make any kind of caveat or restriction to say this has to go to these accounts, this issue, this problem? What happens if we were to give them this money?
Once an appropriation is made and the department, an elected department here at the county, is given another appropriation of money, they have the ability to spend that money as they see fit on the operations of their department.
So it just concerns me that I just feel like we are giving them a blank check where they're asking, but they're not giving us information that we're asking for over and over again. So here's my other concern, is my last issue, is that specifically in the software line item, it says $44,000 there's a deficit, and there's an invoice specifically for outstanding invoices of $183,500, which means now they're going to have a deficit of $183,389. The $44,000 that was transferred out, where did it go? Do we know?
I'd have to trace that. I can tell you it went between one of the line items between the clerk's division and the.
But this is for software. These are negotiated contracts way ahead of time. So they have to know that these invoices are coming in, and yet that money is being transferred out to, I don't know where, because we don't have all the information again. So I'm having a real hard problem with this.
Okay, and I think Mr. Johnson wanted to respond to that.
I just want to clarify the situation regarding payroll and pay raises. So in fiscal year 2024, after the board had passed the appropriation for fiscal year 2025, the clerk gave pay raises to staff and paid for those out of fiscal year 2024 funds. Those were funds that were already appropriated in fiscal year 2024. All the pay that was made in fiscal year 2024 was paid out of the fiscal year 2024 appropriation. Then we come into fiscal year 2025. The salaries that the clerk set were obviously in effect carrying into this year. Our office is requesting no additional funding for personnel in order to maintain the salaries that were set in fiscal year 2024. I believe from what the CFO was just saying, that if the finance department is calculating that our projected deficit is less than the amount that we are requesting, I presume that means there is a surplus in the personnel section of the budget that is accounting for that discrepancy, because we did not request this additional appropriation with the intention of moving personnel money to cover these other expenses. But to be clear, we're requesting no additional money for salaries. In fiscal year 2025, in order to meet our obligations for this fiscal year, what we are before the board for today, we're not requesting any additional salary money. In our requested appropriation for fiscal year 2026, we did request more money in salaries, more money in many categories of expenditure than are in the chair's proposed budget. And that's a separate conversation for the board to have in, passing.
And I'm going to interrupt you there, because you did not actually request anything, because no budget was actually put in.
Submitted specific amounts of salaries
on your website, not through OpenGov, correct?
Correct. We did not submit that through OpenGov.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to have you sit down now, because I want to have Jeff come up real quickly here, and I want Jeff to explain if what he said is fiscally correct.
No, those increases went into effect, a portion of those, after the fiscal year started. That's when HR processed those. So no matter what, we never budgeted for any of those increases at any time. And they had to be, they had to be charged to fiscal year 2025. And the salaries keep getting incurred as the year progresses. So it all wasn't charged back to 2024. It was, some of it was charged to 2025.
Thank you, Jeff, for
And there
that
was no budget
clarification.
for it.
I'm going to move on now to Vice Chair Cahill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jeff, our CFO. And I just want to say the reason why I refused to move for approval on this resolution is because I just believe it's an abomination. I think it's absolutely mismanagement of the clerk's office. And it seems like our deputy clerk does not even really understand what the finances are, what the salaries are, what the timing of it is, how much money he has. Do you need help? We have a great finance department here. We are here to help you. We are representing the taxpayers. If you need some accountants in your office to help with your budget, we are happy to provide that for you, because it seems like you do not know what you're doing. To me, it says that the couple reasons why you're over budget. Number one, you don't go out to bid on projects. So how do we know if you're getting the best price? Two, as our CFO said, the salaries were given after we approved the budget. You have caused us, the county of DuPage, the people, the taxpayers, to be way over budget on legal fees. We have $200,000 or more in legal fees. We are way over budget on our staff time in our state's attorney's office, in our finance department, in our internal auditor department. Every department is over budget in their time because of the mess that you have created, because you refuse to prepare a budget and you refuse to follow the budget. So all I can say is this: I hope and pray that my fellow board members do not in any way, shape, or form approve this additional appropriation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, Jeff, while you're up there, did you get a call from the clerk's office? What kind of interaction did you have with them after they came to the last meeting and asked for money? They call, set up a meeting, do anything like that?
I received an email from the deputy clerk on Thursday afternoon.
So an email.
An email, yes.
So no sitting down, talking, explaining why, just an email.
Correct.
I mean, that shows disrespect right there. I have a number for you, $671,469.03. Those are the raises that the clerk has given since 2020. That's a 42% increase in salaries with no additional headcount. In 2020, the clerk, when she got into office, gave $106,000 in one-time bonuses to staff. In 2022, $299,465 in raises to 21 staff members. And last year, the clerk's office submitted $265,750.08 for 37 employees for raises, retroactive to September 1st after we passed the budget. You know, I heard everybody saying we got to worry about elections. You know, elections are in 2026. That's in the 2026 budget. So when the clerk came here and said we have to provide them a budget reasonable, I think this board has done it over the years. The only one who is not reasonable is the clerk's office. I mean, we don't even, when you're asking for help and say we need money, we don't even get the courtesy of a sit-down meeting to come and talk to our finance staff and see where we are. And I have to agree with Member Yu that we're not even sure they know the budget at this point. And Member Cahill, I mean, our staff's saying there's 150,000 at least in salaries, which after those numbers since 2020 seems to make me think they're saving that money for something, possibly for more raises coming after we pass the budget. So again, you don't want to think that way, but there's no trust with the clerk's office right now. And so in good faith, I can't vote for this. I mean, I know Member Ozog said her long service. I just started my 27th year on the board. This is the first time we have to take money out of our reserves for an appropriation that I can remember. That wasn't an emergency. And this is an emergency. This is just poor budgeting. And like it's been said, not bidding. We could get better prices. We can do a lot of other stuff. So when other people say we're holding up elections, That's just talk. We're not holding up anything. If anybody's holding up elections or anything being done, it's the clerk herself for stretching this out and having this come. And by the way, when you said last year when that came, members, some members weren't here, it was brought up that they were going to run out of money last year by our staff before us, that they were not going to be able to cover this at the end of the year, and gave them that warning, and they still went ahead and gave raises right after the budget. So, you know, in good faith, I can't vote for this. I want to work with all our elected officials, but there has to be a give and take on this, and there's obviously no take. And when you say there's line items, when they give us this one size fits all budget, then you should know what's in every line item, and you should know that you have additional money, and that the number we're coming up with is only $58,000. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Schwarze's next.
Thank you. And I missed last meeting, and this discussion started last meeting. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this question may have been answered, but so whether it's the 268,000 or if it's 58,000, what happens if they don't get this money? What does that mean for the clerk's office? Do their employees not get paid? Do vendors not get paid? What happens?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think we've been faced with a situation like that before. What I can tell you right now, there's 21 invoices in the queue. The auditor has reached out, asked me how these are going to be funded. I said there's an appropriation ordinance resolution on the agenda tonight, and that will play out. So I would guess that if this does not get approved tonight, those invoices will be disqualified, if you will, by the auditor, and the clerk's office will have to go back and figure out some type of funding mechanism to pay for those invoices.
Well, then that leads to my next question or my next comment. I mean, who are we punishing here if these don't get paid? I mean, we're not punishing the clerk's office, we're punishing our employees, we're punishing the vendors. So that's my concern. And how do we resolve that? Help me out here.
I think there's money in the payroll right now, so I don't think any of the that the staff is going to be hurt by the bills that are not being paid. Am I correct, Jeff?
We're seeing about 150,000 roughly in salary that may not be spent by the end of the fiscal year, just in the clerk's division.
So no one's not going to get paid because of the shortage in the clerk's office, correct?
That can be transferred, right?
All right,
Can I
thank
add
you.
something
Okay.
real quick, just an important point. Jeff mentioned it before. Our fiscal year is done at the end of November. The 2025 books close about 60 days after that. There's nothing, if this isn't approved tonight, it doesn't do anything. You guys can take this back up in December, January, and everybody's gonna get paid between now and then. What won't happen is the vendors won't get paid, obviously. That can't happen. But you guys don't have to vote on it tonight. You guys have 2 months to probably deal with this. I mean, did I say that correct, Jeff? I mean, you could put additional appropriation in December for 2025.
Yeah, more of the numbers will play out as we have additional invoices that are presented to us.
So I'll say that it's very frustrating to be put in this position.
I will correct that. Vendors can get paid if a budget transfer is done by the office. So they could transfer money into the appropriate lines out of, say, salary, and those vendors could be paid.
Mhm.
So just to make that clear.
But does that mean then there's not enough money for salaries?
No, we said before, if there is sufficient money, I mean, we said that there might be $150,000. I mean, I think no one knows how that office is gonna work, but if there's 150,000, they could transfer that out into the different lines in order to pay the vendors.
In the next 2 weeks, there won't be $150,000 in
Yeah,
salary.
you'll know what the burn rate is. I mean, every department out there, we know what the burn rate is, you know, what you're down in head count, what every salary. I mean, we know what we're gonna pay in salary 2 weeks, 4 weeks ahead of time.
Right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Member Shorzy. Member Evans was next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really liked what what another board member said about the timeline of the salaries and how they have increased in the last 5 years by 42%. I'm not going to go over the timeline of everything, but That salary and bonus data is all public information that I asked our finance department to summarize for me. So for those playing at home, if you would like to see this information, please put in a FOIA request for an email I received from Jeff Martinovich on October 31st, 2025, with the subject line bonuses and raises. This is all, everything that we have said here can be backed up with some data and facts. So where are we now? Sure enough, the clerk's office is out of money. They're saying they're out of money. And now Deputy Clerk Adam Johnson sent an email to Finance Director Jeff Martinovich asking for an additional appropriation of $268,000. So what a coincidence that the clerk's office is saying they are short by $268,000. And she gave $265,000 in unbudgeted raises to her employees. Clerk Kazmarek has come to the County Board Finance Committee on October 28th to say that she will have insufficient funds to pay for the remainder of her 2025 operations and expenses. And she stated, we absolutely will not be able to fund 2026 on the proposed amount budgeted to our office. Without proper funding, we cannot fulfill even the most basic statutory duties. That sounds like a ransom to me. I've said it before and I will say it again. You are holding our elections hostage. That is not democracy. If the county clerk thinks she can do what she wants without regard to state mandated accounting policies and bidding procedures, where's the transparency she promised to voters? If she refuses to administer the 2026 election until her demands for more money are met, what does that tell us about her commitment to her job? I admit that I was wrong to vote for Jean Kazmarek in 2022. And I was wrong to trust people in my party who told me that we had to protect the clerk at all costs. She is holding our elections and her employees hostage. This is a ransom, and she will likely demand more money in 2026. DuPage County citizens demand good governance from our clerk's office. It is time for each of us on this board to take a position on this. This is our time to speak out and tell our constituents that we expect Clerk Kazmarek to do the job she was elected to do. Clerk Kazmarek is great at running elections. She is not great with money, accountability, or communication. I will vote no on this request. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Evans. Member Eckhoff is next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We talked a little bit about the raises and what was going on a year ago. I just happen to have kept the information that came through our budget process last year. And I know Mr. Zay and I had both independently sat down and figured out the amount of some of these raises. And just to refresh your memory, there were a couple of employees, and I'm not going to name names because they're the innocent people, I guess, on this, that received 25% raises and that received 20% raises. So it's not just that they received a raise, these were incredibly expensive raises. And I think it sets a bad precedent if we start approving things at the end of the year for other elected officials to think that that's the way that they can manage their office. And also, it doesn't reward the good elected officials that run a budget, submitted it properly, and tried to keep it running as best they could during the year. So I want to encourage them to continue to do that. But the opinion of $150,000, how can we, I'm trying to figure out how you can come up with that number if they haven't given us the proper accounting throughout the year. Is that just a guesstimate or best guess? And that's all that's left in the bank then?
Open go.
Payroll goes through HR. Finance works very closely with HR to do projections. And we can see from a budgetary standpoint.
But I'm not just saying payroll, I'm saying all the other various accounts that they've got in their department. How do we know what the balances are on those if you haven't been given the paperwork for that?
They submit paperwork, they submit invoices, they submit payroll invoices. That all goes through the ERP system for approvals. The issue is there enough money in those line items that they don't budget for to pay those? So all the accounting we have, and that's how we're able to come up with our projections.
Our finance staff is very good at keeping all the line items and what's going on, what's going out from what they're given. So they know exactly what they have.
Okay. And we paid two of the vendors last week, right? That they
Correct,
wanted.
those checks went out, correct.
And I thought we were holding up on paying those in part because we were concerned that they might allege that the proper bidding process was not followed.
I'm going to stop you there because that's going to be brought up under executive session. If you don't mind on those two payments.
Jumping the gun. All
Thank
right,
you.
I'll get you back to you on that one. And then, I'm just trying to. I guess, is there any way that the county can start managing these, since the clerk apparently isn't managing these accounts, and pay bills just as they come due? Sort of like we were doing before. I know the auditor has to take a look at them and approve them, but it seems like if they're not managing their office properly or not managing it at all, what oversight can we do? Maybe we've already done it to the best of our ability to make sure things are being done right.
Well, from an accounting standpoint, more oversight was given to the county so that the clerk's office has to comply with the county's financial policies and accounting procedures. So now things like charging the correct budget accounts that are set up in the annual budget, doing budget transfers, those all have to be done during the year.
That was a summary judgment that came. through, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Right, so I know the chair has proposed a budget for the clerk's office. Can we change that from an annual proposal that we vote on to a monthly? Just do this month by month?
No,
The chair's going, no.
the county clerk's office is part of the general.
I'm just trying to figure out some type of an alternative because we're handcuffed. She's gonna be in office for another year. We've got a judge that's ruled in our favor twice, and our state's attorney's done a great job getting that taken care of, but I'm not sure that fight's gonna be over.
Well, I don't think you're handcuffed. Remember, in 2 weeks, you're going to approve the budget which is giving the clerk's office and the election division money to operate for fiscal year 2026. At that point, yes, they have the ability to spend that money based upon the operations of their department, but they still have to follow our accounting financial policies and using our accounts and using our systems.
I understand.
That's now clear.
But when they gave us the raises the day after we passed the budget, it seems like the money got shifted from one place to another. And that's why I'm saying, I know everybody laughs, but I'd rather do it month to month, because if I give them the bigger lump that I give them, the more they misappropriate. So
Unfortunately, I don't think state statute allows for that. So
No,
we have to do an
unfortunately, it
annual
doesn't.
appropriation.
Thank you, Member Eckhoff. Moving on to Member Dessert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stay up there, Jeff, because I've got mathing to do. Taking personalities out of this, I really just want to understand where we are. And that is what my colleague down at the end asked. What happens? That's my big question. What happens if we don't approve the 200 and whatever the amount is? Let's see. Thank you. Yes. The appropriation, $268,000. What happens? So one question is, how much money does the clerk's office need for salaries in the next 2 weeks? Because then in the pot right now is $150,000. What do we need to pay for salaries, or what do they need to pay for the salaries in the next 2 weeks? So what's the subtraction?
I need to get my notes again.
Okay. And then also I was wondering, you said, keeping in mind the $150,000 in the pot right now, you said there are 21 invoices outstanding. And what do they equal?
There's 21 invoices that are in the queue.
In the queue.
For recommendation by the auditor. The auditor is waiting to see what the funding source will be to release those invoices.
Okay, but do they equal the $150,000 that's still in the bank right now?
I don't think so, no.
They less or more?
But because there's 21 invoices that are in the queue, that means the line items that those invoices are being charged to, they don't have enough money in them right now. So if the auditor doesn't recommend those, they'll get sent back to the clerk's office And the clerk will have to do budget transfers or try to come up with the money if the board doesn't approve this
Mhm.
to get all those invoices paid.
Do you recall what the 21 invoices equal?
I don't. Jennifer might have.
Ben, do you?
For the election division, the outstanding invoices that we are aware of as of November tenth total $237,952.50.
Okay.
For the county clerk's office, the outstanding invoices total $1,846.62. And to clarify on the payroll that we have, so we're showing there's over $150,000 left in the election area, or sorry, in the county clerk area. We projected the payroll out through the end of the year, and that's what was left.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, more math. Could you clarify, be more specific about if we do not approve this funding, what happens? Will they have to take some of this money out of their, their 2025 shortfall out of fiscal year 2026? Or what happens?
We're, there's the distinct possibility that invoices won't get paid.
Okay.
The first thing that they're going to have to do is go back and look for any possible dollar that they can find
Yeah.
to get these budget transfers done, flow through the system,
Okay.
and get the invoices paid.
And one other thought that I wondered what you thought about. So they're asking for $268,000 and there's $150,000 in the kitty right now. What if we approved $118,000 to make up for the, what would happen? To make up for the amount that they're short?
That would give them more money to do budget transfers. But the other issue with that is we don't know in finance what's still out there to be paid
Okay.
by the end of the fiscal year for goods and services that already have been incurred. A lot of times there's invoices that are sitting in the department that aren't in the queue to be paid.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
remember to start. Next on my list is Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So after the payroll Friday, and then everybody's on salary pretty much, the payroll at the end of November, then payroll's done, you're projecting $150,000 approximately overpayment in payroll.
There's one more payroll in November. And then in December, there's going to be an accrued payroll.
Okay, right. So partial, but through that, there's 150,000 left over.
Correct.
So the first thing that the clerk should be doing is ask you to have that 150,000 transferred out of payroll. Or payroll's now zero and now into these other line items.
Probably a good start, right?
That are short. And when they say, I gotta put them in here, like postage, so they were allocated 81,000 this year. And they want more money for posting, but during the year, they took 21,000, moved it somewhere else.
Right.
They're moving stuff left and right out of these accounts. And now they're coming back asking for postage when they took money out of postage, moved it somewhere else. So the first thing they need to do is take the 150,000, whatever that excess is, and move it into the commodities here, into these individual line items, maybe part of those 21 invoices, and those will be paid. And then they'll have to come up and figure out what's left here that they, once they start allocating to these various line items, which they haven't done, and they need to come work with you. So I think the first thing we do is tell them, take that 150 and ask to have it transferred, right, into the.
Well, the department has to do the budget transfer. They have to generate.
So they have to do a transfer. So that's the first thing they should have done, right? Because they have to transfer it, right?
Right.
So they should have already, before they came even to us, they should have known that they're going to have 150,000 excess in payroll, and they should have transferred that. And then they could be paying these bills. They'll have line items. The auditor could let those go. I mean, our job is just to give the clerk a reasonable budget, which we did. We did that. We give every elected official a reasonable budget, and they need to operate it. We can't go and tell them how to run their departments. We can't help it that some people don't know how to do and run their departments. But the first thing that should have been done is this 150 should have been moved. Then they should be coming to us where they're short after they've done analysis, but work with finance. Because, if we approve this appropriation 268, they're still going to have 150,000 left in payroll. Right?
Plus, I believe there's over 5,000 in overtime, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, and then, we may see the raises coming out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Member Zay was alluding to is, after the COLAs came in this year, clerk gave a whole bunch more raises to well over 300,000, and now they're short that amount. Well, the first thing they should do tomorrow is transfer that money out of the payroll, and then they'll have enough to cover the rest of the payroll for the year. And then they'll have money to pay some of these invoices. Maybe work with finance. If they don't know how to do their own budgets, maybe you guys can help them
And then we can come back and see us in 2 weeks and find out what they're still short, but clearly they're not short 268,000.
Yeah, the caveat to that is that that 150,000 is a finance projection based upon what we know.
Right. Well, everybody's pretty much on a fixed salary, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, whatever the
So,
payroll is
yeah.
Friday, I mean, it's not going to vary much.
Right.
Unless they decide to give out a whole bunch of bonuses. That's not going to change. I mean, we pretty much have it. So maybe it's 140 or maybe it's 110. I mean, it's a close number. It's close to 150. So just transfer that, pay some of these the auditor pay some of these invoices, put it into some of these line items and get those paid and then figure out what the real shortfall is and, come back to us. But again, we can't tell them how to budget. I mean, that's.
Thank you,
for them
member.
to do.
Thank you, member Krajewski.
We
Member
can't
Heather,
create Reasonable budget.
gonna just move on because we're running out of time. We got full budgets.
Thank you,
budget-
Madam Chair.
budget.
Thank you, Jeff, for all those details that you're sharing. My question is for Mr. Johnson. At what point of time during your internal departmental workings did you realize you need this money? You need $268,159.
At what time did we come to that particular calculation? So as Member Eckhoff alluded to, we've had other bills that have been unpaid and that it has been unclear when or if those bills were going to be paid. For the entirety of this fiscal year, we've had bills unpaid, legal filings to get certain bills paid. So it has been clear over the course of the fiscal year that we didn't have sufficient funds to carry us through the end of the year, even as.
So would you say at the beginning of the year, you knew you needed more money?
Well, of course, we
by
knew
the
we
end of-
needed more money. We asked for more money in the proposal last year, but
Right.
over the course of the year, as you cut everything that can possibly be cut and defer everything that can possibly be deferred and wait to see which
Right.
unpaid
So
bills
would
eventually
you
get paid.
Sure.
It
So would you say-
clarifies what the actual minimal shortfall
So
ends up being.
through January 2025, you would need about
Oh,
$300,000
no,
more.
we did not know that. Because again, over the course of the year, before you run the election, there's some set of unknowns. Is there going to be a recount? Is there going to be?
Sure.
So yes, it was clear that we had not started out the year with an amount of money that we viewed as,
That you would need.
sufficient.
Yeah.
But just exactly how far that would fall short of the bare minimum to get through the year only clarifies as you get through the year and find out which
Understand that.
expenses.
When did you realize, at what point of time did you realize you need $268,159 more than what you have?
Oh, I mean, that's a recent calculation. That has been
Recent, would you say?
in the last month. I mean, when we came to you 2 weeks ago, we told you that the projection was 250 to 300,000.
Okay.
In the intervening 2 weeks, we, some more bills got paid. We clarified what still is going to come in the next couple
So
weeks.
this is a very recent finding for your department to realize that you need about $300,000 more to work, to function, to run your department properly.
To get to that level of precision is a recent finding, yes,
It
because.
is a recent
yes.
finding. I find that very, very difficult to digest, that you're realizing that something that is so critically important, according to you, to run your elections, that you're just finding that out right now.
No, it's not. Let me see how I can explain this. So over the course of the year, right, as the accounts dwindle down and certain contingencies do or don't arise, it becomes clearer what the precise amount is. So if you had talked to me 2 months ago, I couldn't have told you that the precise amount was going to be $260,000. I could have told you 2 months ago that we were on pace to not have enough money to finish the year. So I guess I want to clarify, we didn't just discover 2 weeks ago that we were on pace to have not have enough money, but the precise dollar amount, gets clearer as you get closer to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, so this is the money that is super critical to make sure we run smooth elections according to your department, right?
Correct.
And we are just finding that out only a couple of weeks ago, according to you, that we would need about $300,000 more to run our elections effectively. I personally find that very challenging. As a department, I think that's really, really, I don't know how to put it, but it's just, if this were to be a scenario, even if it's a remote scenario, as a department, just to make sure that the elections are run smoothly, you should have had a net to make sure that elections are not impacted. That's number one. And number two, how important do you think this money is for your department? On a scale of 1 to 10, give me a number. How important is this money for your department?
Well, 10, because
A
as
10.
the
Then
CFO
it's
stated, the
10.
bill.
On a scale of 1 to 10, it's
Sure,
a 10.
Sure,
And the clerk is still not here.
sure. So
Something on
again,
a scale of 1 to 10, when at a 7 o'clock, we are all here having a conversation about this critical money that you need for your department. On a scale of 1 to 10, you tell me it's a 10 and the clerk's not here. I think that says a lot. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Heather. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Just to add to this, I want to make sure people are clear that a budget was not submitted in 2024 for the 25 budget. A budget was not submitted in 2025 for the 2026 budget. And if you were concerned there was going to be an election coming up and you weren't sure how it was going to go, because sometimes there are recounts and things like that, then it, to me, is very unwise that much money was given in raises and bonuses, because you should have put that money aside, not knowing how the election was going to go. That's just my opinion. Thank you. Going on to Member Ozog.
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to ask you a question, not as a board member, but as a taxpayer and a constituent. Who actually does the line item transferring in your office?
what do you mean by who actually does it?
Who tomorrow will go and figure out what you can do with this, let's say the $150,000 that's in payroll for the clerk's office? Who will make these line item transfers? Who does that?
So we have multiple staff members, including myself, who are involved in the process of reviewing budgetary matters. The clerk signs off on all transfers. So I guess I'm asking where in that process are you?
Do you have a committee that meets? Who actually does this work is what I'm curious about.
You want the names of individual?
I don't want the names,
employees?
but I don't need the names specifically, but how does this work in your office? I'm very curious about the procedure of who does what, how do you meet about this?
So
what exactly goes on?
So we have,
And I'm a taxpayer, remember, and this is my tax dollars. So
we have 2 different staff members whose duties include tracking line items for the 2 accounting units. Those staffers work with me on tracking, projecting, paperwork. I guess that would be the answer, that there are 3 people in our office who work on this.
okay, and then they report to you and then you report to the clerk. Is that how this works?
Correct.
Just to add on to that, who could approve them though in your office? The budget line transfers.
So I believe either the clerk or myself can sign off on them. The vast majority of them are signed off personally by the clerk.
But you have the same authority?
If the clerk is not present and we need to submit a budget transfer, I have the authority to sign that.
Okay. And how much interaction do you have with our finance department?
With the finance department?
Yeah.
These days, very little.
Okay. And how about in preparing the budget that they had to put together for you? Did you meet with them about the
We
budget?
did not meet with the finance department. about the
You
budget.
did not.
We did
Okay.
not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Member Ozog. Member Colbert is next. So I'm sorry, Member Yu is next. I'm sorry, Member Colbert. Member Yu is next.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. So actually, I did have a question with regard to what was available in 4200, the clerk's budget, versus 4220, the elections division, but Member Krajewski had actually already asked that question. So I'm just going to move on to, so I think there were some questions about the payroll increases, and for some of our newer board members, they probably may not have seen this or not even received this email. But this is an email that came to all the county board members on December 5th, 2024 at 9:14 a.m. And it says the following: Dear board members, and this is from our chair, Conroy. Dear board members, on Wednesday, November 27, at the end of the day, the DuPage County Human Resources Office received payroll change forms from the county clerk seeking $265,750.08 in pay increases for full-time employees in her office. The submitted forms indicated that the raises were retroactive to September 1, 2024. When our finance department adds in the additional combined IMRF and Social Security increased benefit payments, the total cost of the increases to the county is $309,758.29. As you may recall, the clerk was invited to present her budget to the county board, during which time these increases might have been introduced and discussed. The clerk declined to present her budget, discuss her plan with our finance department, or provide justification of any kind for her spending proposal. The board approved our fiscal year 2025 budget, which set the clerk's election division budget 5% higher than fiscal year 2023 actual expenses, the last time there was a municipal election. Her operations budget was set at $1.565 million, a 20% increase from fiscal year 2023 actual spending. Salaries in our approved 2025 budget were based on current employee salary levels and fully funding vacant headcount. So it says that the state's attorney's office the clerk had, this is what the state's attorney's office says, that the clerk has statutory authority to set salaries within her office as long as she has sufficient funds in her budget and seeks a transfer if required. At this point, it is unknown if the clerk will overspend on the salary lines as we close out fiscal year 2024. And of course, it's too early to predict what will happen in 2025. As they do for every county department and elected official, our finance staff will alert department heads or office holders if a transfer is needed within individual budgets. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel like I come to these meetings, it's a bad repetitive dream. And every time I'm here, we are in the same cycle, asked for more money by the clerk's office. And this has been going on for a very long time. And I've heard everybody today, and I see we're placed in a very difficult situation as a board. If we vote no to this, the vendors don't get paid. Staff possibly doesn't get paid. Not sure. And the election equipment, I don't know if that gets fully funded. If we vote yes on this, the bills do get paid, but we don't know how many times we're going to be in this position over and over and over again, because they're not done. There are 21 outstanding invoices. So the clerk's office will be here again and again and again. So we will be in the same position. And the thing is, this reflects poorly on us. It's making the county board look bad. We're doing everything we can to fund all the departments. We've given money, we give help, but we're being put in a position where we look like the bad guy if we don't do anything, if we don't vote yes on this. So I guess it's a very difficult situation. There's no win-win over here, yes or no vote. And that's all I wanted to say. I mean, we're in a really bad position. So I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, I want to know when these invoices get paid, do we know about them? How do we find out if these invoices are being paid? I don't want to babysit the clerk's office, but it just seems like, I mean, we need to know what's happening.
Okay, Chris Clevenger, Head of HR, and Lisa Smith, Assistant District Attorney, is coming up. Microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. So we've been hearing a little bit about employees not being paid, and for people that work the hours, we are obligated to compensate them. So we would have to look at where the money would come from. But people, if they work, we have an obligation to pay them for their hours worked.
Okay. So. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up, Chris.
Thank you for.
Okay. Thank you. Member Honig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will have to agree with a lot what has been said here today. It is really troubling to sit here and the deputy clerk being asked these questions and him, quite frankly, not being able to even answer the things that he's supposed to know what goes on with his department. For the last year, the clerk and the deputy clerk refused to meet with finance out of good faith. They were not going out to bid properly. They have given $265,000 worth of raises in the last year, and as another board member has said, over $600,000 worth of raises since 2020. We have so many legal fees from everything that has been going on, and including the staff time and stress that has been put on all our departments, just trying to figure out how to put together a budget that wasn't submitted this year and last year. And quite frankly, it is just a dereliction of duties on both the clerks and the deputy clerks' parts, because as an accountant, I think, Member Cahill can, attest to this. These are simple financial practices that are not only not being followed, they are being deflected, and there's absolutely no way, if you are budgeting for something as important as polling equipment, that at the end of the year that you are so short that you come here and ask us for money, that you didn't know this could have happened, because you had our resources right there. You had Jeff, you had everyone in staff to tell you exactly that this was going to be the outcome. And like others said, last year we said this was gonna. I'm newer. I'm still, just over by basically a year on this board, but it has been said on this board floor. And I really think, this is extremely difficult to vote for, because it's just saying, okay, you have not done your duties. Here is money to then, we don't know if you're going to do then the proper payments that you do need, or put that money in the exact places and line items that are needed. And I think that you guys, the deputy clerk and the clerk, need to go back and reevaluate and come back with a more agreeable resolution that would really help us understand what is going on in your office. Because from what I just heard, you said you have 2 staffers that help track the line items. It goes through you, and then Clerk Kazmierek can then approve it. But all I'm hearing there is that the buck stops with you and Jean, and it is going over each line and is not being done correctly. So there's no way in good faith that I could vote for this resolution, and I will be a no voting for that. And I really do think and hope that you guys will consider going back and looking through your budget and seeing that you have $150,000 in the payroll category that you could transfer over, that could help pay for something as crucial as polling equipment to run clean and fair elections. Because again, the onus should not be put on us to say that we are the ones preventing you guys from dispersing fair elections, because that's in 2026. And so it is up to you to correct this, not us. And I will be voting no on this resolution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Honig. Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All of these questions and all the comments tonight are grounded in one word, and it's trust, or lack of it. And nothing's more apparent to me about the lack of trust than the clerk's office asking for $268,000, when it's pretty apparent, even for me, who's not an accountant, that they got an extra $150,000. So simple math says that they're asking for more than they need. For the past, I've lost track of the number of years when the clerk hasn't submitted a budget, hasn't appeared before us, hasn't used general accounting principles. We've been flying blind. The clerks continue to spend money and give raises, knowing that they didn't have the money, giving out contracts that have not been competitively bid, costing the county money in lawsuits, and who knows how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in staff time. How much have we spent tonight in taxpayer money in talking about this at our salaries, just on the county board, let alone the staff? And yet, I'm sorry, the unmitigated gall to come at the 11th hour and say, we need money when we haven't cooperated in any way for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years is just astounding to me, which leads me to two questions. One's a finance question. If we don't approve this appropriation, and I'm definite no vote on this, can the clerk take next year's budget and next year's money, and can these invoices essentially be kicked over and be paid out of the next budget year's allocation to the clerk?
No,
If they,
no, unfortunately, accounting GAAP rules require us to report what fiscal year that those goods and services, those invoices were incurred in. We have to report it in the correct fiscal year.
but if they're incurred at the end of one fiscal year, you're saying they can't be paid a day later if that's the next fiscal year?
No, they're charged back to the fiscal year
Okay.
that they're
All
incurred
right,
in.
and that's why I'm not an accountant, because that doesn't make any sense to me. If you don't have the money on Monday, but you have it on Tuesday, and you incur a bill on Monday, you should be able to pay it on Tuesday. That just seems
Oh, you
logical.
can't pay it on Tuesday. You just have to charge the expense to the prior fiscal year, and that's what we're talking.
However you do it, I guess my question is, there's going to be money, the clerk's going to have money in next year's budget, even if they run out of it this year.
Right.
So, okay. The other question, and it's back in law school, we had this for the state's attorney's office. There was a theory, principal and agent, where when an agent acts beyond the scope of what they have, what they're allowed to do, then they're on the hook themselves. And the principal's no longer responsible for what an agent who goes rogue does. Now, the clerk has continued to say, we're independent. We have the right to, the clerk's office, that we have the right to do what we want to do with our money. She's an elected official. She can't be fired by us, can't be suspended by us. So why are we continue to be responsible as the principal for the acts of a rogue agent, which is really what the clerk's office is? They've gone beyond the scope of what any other elected official has a responsibility to us. So you don't have to give me an answer now because I'm hitting you with this at the last minute. It just seems to me that perhaps in one of our various areas of litigation with the clerk's office, we come up with some theory that, okay, you're on your own. You want to be on your own, that's fine. You're not responsible to pay your bills. Figure out a way. And quite honestly, if we have to pay these bills, I'd rather pass the hat and figure out a way to pay it. I refuse to give the clerk a nickel to pay a bill that we're responsible, they're responsible for, but we have to bail them out. Let's come up with another way to pay these people, because this is beyond absurd.
Thank you, Member Tory. And we're running out of time, but we've got 3 more speakers, and then myself, I'd like to see things. Member Ozog, Member Zay, and Member Cahill will finish with Vice Chair Cahill. Oh, I'm sorry, Member LaPlante is online also, so she'll be before you, Vice Chair Cahill. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Everyone knows what I think because I've said it loudly and clearly and directly for years. So there's really not I don't have to reiterate everything I've been saying. I've been beating the same drum for a while. I'm really glad that others are now speaking up, using their voices. I'm going to say that as a board, collectively, we could have handled this a lot earlier if we had done that when we were talking about this several years ago. That saying, the best time to do something right was a while ago. Second best thing is to do it now. So finally, it really sounds like there's some cohesion on this board about this issue. I'm happy that we're there now. It's time to do our job and to hold everyone accountable and be stewards of on good fiscal governance. That's our number one job. So here we are. Please let us learn from our past mistakes and move forward in a new direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Member LaPlante and Member Ozark's next.
Thank you. Is it possible for us to postpone this issue, or we would go ahead and vote? My issue is, if it comes down to it, let's say we postpone the issue, the vote tonight, and they come back in 2 weeks and they have done these line item transfers, et cetera. We could make a decision then, or is the other alternative, and I can turn this over to you if you'd like to close this. What are our options here? Because it sounds like there is still going to be a $60,000 shortfall, even if these transfers are made. And the one thing that none of us want to do is have any kind of impact on, especially vendors dealing with the election. That's critical.
And I will answer that in my closing.
Okay,
statements.
then in that case,
Thank you, Member.
hand it over to you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, well, first I'm going to go to Members A and then finish with Vice Chair Cahill, and then I'm going to close it out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I just worry about the election thing. You know, this board has done, people worry about us hindering elections. It's this board who bought the new election equipment. Didn't come out of the clerk's budget. We bought it. The poll pads, we bought them. So talk about helping elections. This county board has gone above and beyond. I'm glad that people are talking out, because what we're doing today is our main job. This is our check and balance. We are responsible to the taxpayers of DuPage County. We set the levy. We set the property tax rate. The chair submits a budget. We go through it. We start this process. This is an easy process. People know we start this budget process back in June, probably sooner than that. Early July, budgets are submitted, except for the clerk's office. We have numerous meetings from mid-July all the way through now, talking about the budget, because this is our job. This is what we're supposed to do. We safeguard the taxpayers' money. And again, they knew last year that they were going to be short. They were told by our staff at the meetings last year they were going to be short, and they still went ahead and gave raises. If that's not malfeasance of office, I don't know what is at that point. The disregard, the board, staff, all the warnings out there that you're going to run short on your budget, and you still do it and you come to us. There's got to be some other options for us. And maybe we can talk about an executive session for how these are going to be paid. But again, you knew it was going to happen. You did it anyways. You paid, you did invoices. You knew you weren't going to be able to cover them. That's just irresponsible. And I'll be honest, not DuPage County. I mean, we lost a great clerk, Gary King, who sat there at every meeting if he wasn't on vacation or sick. We haven't had the clerk here do a meeting since 2020, and didn't have the respect of this board to come here tonight and talk for herself on why she needed this. So again, I think what staff had said, we don't have to deal with this tonight. They need to do some budget transfers. They need to do other things. We have until probably January to figure this out. And then, but they need to take those necessary steps first before we use money out of our reserves to do a new appropriations to the clerk's office.
Okay, we're actually going to run out of time. I know you want to do another comment. Is it really quickly? Because I've let it finish with Vice Chair Cahill.
Sure, it'll be really quick. You know, as of now, I would have to vote yes, because these 21 vendors have already done the work for the county, and I don't want them not to get paid. I would entertain postponing this for 2 weeks, as Member Ozog and Member Zay suggested, because at that point they can figure out the real number that they need, minus the $150,000 already in there, and minus the salaries that we still have to pay for the next 2 weeks. So I would either have to vote yes tonight, or I would be willing to entertain postponing the vote for 2 weeks till we get a real number.
All right, thank you, Member Dessart. Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. I want to respond to our attorney, what Member Tornatori talked about. He said, what can we do as a board? I mean, when we have this elected official, and I'm telling you, this is what we can do. This pattern of misconduct and disregard for lawful oversight cannot continue. I am therefore calling for a formal censure of Clerk Jean Kazmarek at our next meeting for her repeated failure to fulfill the duties of her office, her refusal to cooperate with this board, and her violation of the trust placed in her by the people of DuPage County. What that does is that shows the public and the taxpayers that we as a board disapprove of her mismanagement of her office. A censure is a formal disapproval by a government body, and I'm going to call for that at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. And then I'm going to finish up here. We absolutely could motion to postpone on this one, but I think that there should be a definitive vote tonight on this issue. I think that every board member here wants to have a yes or no vote on this. I thank the deputy clerk for being here and answering some of the questions. I would have liked the clerk to be here, but she's not here, as everybody has pointed out. After the clerk asked for the additional funding, the finance department reviewed both her current budget and the known expenses through the end of the year, including full-time staff salaries and unpaid bills. And as we know, the salaries will be paid. They will find a way. There will be no one who doesn't get paid. The clerk's funding is split in two parts: the clerk's office and the election division. And then as of November 10th, the clerk's office is expected to end the year with approximately $159,000 in surplus, including about $147,000 in salaries. The election division is expected to overspend by approximately $218,000. And again, let's say that this is only includes the expenses that we know about, because sometimes the clerk's office is very slow in putting the bills into the system. And there's also some lag time in terms of actually getting the bills through or getting any kind of approval from the clerk's office. So that's something that is frustrating to the staff of the finance department. And I know it's to the auditor. I know that I'm getting frustrated the more I hear about it. So I know that that's something that's going on. But if the clerk moves the money from her office surplus to cover the election costs, the total shortfall would shrink to just about $58,000 that has been mentioned today. So we can only calculate based on expenses we know, but you don't need to be an accountant, which I am not, although I am learning very quickly all of the accounting terms between Gatsby and all that stuff. That $58,800 is significantly less than the $268,159 requested by the clerk. I am going to ask for a vote on this, but I'm asking the deputy clerk to go back and tell the clerk that we would like her and he could come to whatever board meeting they want. If it wants to be the next finance board meeting, that's fine, but we need to have a clear budget line transfers on what can be transferred and what's left. Because I know, looking through the funds left in between the election division and also the clerk's division, that there is a lot of things you can transfer. You just haven't. And I know you said at the beginning that you had a lot, like 5,000-10,000, but that was not correct. So we want to make sure that you were not correct on that. So we want to make sure that you go through all of the line items, transfer, and then bring it back with another resolution, because the resolution right now states that you won $268,000. That is not something that is going to be happening. And at least I don't think so. I shouldn't say that. We haven't voted yet. So I'm going to call for a vote now on this. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Cahill,
No.
Member Childress,
Reluctantly, yes.
He's a yes.
okay. Member Covert,
No.
Member Desart,
Yes.
Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
No.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
No.
Member Heather,
No.
Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
No.
Member Martinez,
No.
Member Ozag,
No.
Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
No.
Member Zay.
Is that two? He said yes. I think you said yes, right? Member Childress? Okay. Okay, yes, he said yes. So we've got 15 no, 2 yeses. The item fails. So I would suggest highly that you go back, redo that, and we'll have the resolution redone with the correct figures. So thank you. We are going to move in front of informational. We want to move the executive session up before there, but first, before that, actually, We would love to have April Redzik come up because we don't want to have her sit through a whole executive session and do her presentation on pads because we're running out of money. So April, would you like to come up and say that? Oh, can I have a vote to please move the item? You're fine. Stay here. You're good. To move the item for the presentation for pads up before the informational. Okay, and do I need all favor or roll call? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. There, now you're up. You're up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a long evening, so I will keep my request short. First, I want to thank you all on behalf of PADS for what happened last winter when you all allocated money for us to use for hotel funding, which we thought we would use to help about 80 people get out of the winter weather and into safe shelter through hotel rooms, and we wound up helping 155 people. They are alive and well because of you. And I met one of our seniors who received these services who told me he was really grateful to wake up the next day after sleeping in his van and not knowing what he would be able to do in a polar vortex or whether he'd be alive the next morning. So I'm here in front of you today to ask for your support for emergency winter help again. I know we met about this last year and looked at some options that might be available for us to provide shelter for people. Since we last met, we did go ahead and look at some lease space to see if that would be less expensive. The cost for that lease space, when you count in the cost of facilities, wound up being between $500,000 and $600,000 a year. So it actually wound up being more expensive than our hotel model. We did reach out to some churches, and what we found is while we could get an evening from them, most municipalities won't allow us more than 1 or 2 evenings, rather than having stable winter shelter for people over a period of time. So I also wanted to let you know, since I first spoke with Mary Keating about this, and when I'm speaking with you this evening, we did find out we have some funding from the state for this as well. So I'm here to ask if you would consider matching state funding around it. What we're looking for is 60 hotel rooms for people over 100 days. So those coldest days of the year. If you've been reading the news, we know that this winter is expected to be colder and snowier than most. And our goal is to get folks in who are experiencing that. Total costs for us to do this over the winter, including the staffing to make sure we have the room supervised, 600 rooms for 100 days, weekly delivery of food from our friends at Lives and Fishes, which is $17 per bag for 60 rooms over 12 weeks. And some transport to get folks from our access center to those hotel rooms is $343,990. Again, we did get $150,000 from the state. This is new news. I apologize. I found out today about it, but was glad to be able to share that with you. And we do have a donor who's interested in covering some of our family rooms for another $20,000. So my request of the county for that is $173,990. I know that there are some funds that might be available for this. And so I also wanted to ask humbly if you would consider also allowing us to extend our access hours at our 703 West Liberty site for access services. I'm asking for this piece because we're getting feedback from police departments and libraries that they're getting more people without a place to stay. And the alternative is for folks to hang out in police lobbies at our new behavioral health center lobby, or on the streets in front of libraries. And so that total ask is $342,090. I really appreciate you considering whatever you are able to allocate to help with this. Again, our goal is just that nobody goes without a safe place to sleep as we enter into the winter season. $342,090.
Yeah, like 350.
$342,090. That is with that. Yeah, that's with the state match and that private donor.
You are asking 140.
Yes.
From DuPage County.
Yes.
And before you guys get, I just want to, because the question would likely be, where is this money coming from? So just so the board knows, we have exactly $344,000 available in ARPA interest, and that will be the end of ARPA interest. So, I mean, we've coordinated a little bit before to get to this number here,
but ARPA interest will be done. I know we have discussed with the chair, we've discussed with the chair of finance, chair of human services. I mean, this is obviously, it was very important last year, it remains, but this would be the last of the ARPA interest. And this is exactly what it was intended.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. Wow. Okay, everybody wants to talk. Let's just go down the lines here. Let's start in the back. Dawn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering if this money, before Nick said ARPA interest, I was wondering if some of this money could come out of our affordable housing fund. I know that's been expanded to, you know, utility services and such. Could this come out of the affordable housing fund? Anybody? That was your question, Member Zay?
Okay, so the question is, can some of this money come out of the Affordable Housing Fund?
Absolutely, it can.
Okay.
Absolutely. So you have a couple buckets, affordable housing, ARPA interest, that you've got the options.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Sarge. Going down the line, Member Mozak, no. Okay, Member Tortori, no. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, that was my question. We had talked last year.
Sure.
We have this pot sitting in affordable housing. We're putting 5 million more in this year. We're not going to build anything in the near future. It's going to take years. What we should be doing is setting up things like this. We should be going to apartment complexes and getting subsidies of 5% of their apartments and paying for that. I know we all want to do and build affordable housing or workforce housing. It's not going to happen anytime soon. We have this pot sitting here. This is exactly what this pot should be used for, is helping these people and helping these people get out on their own and getting subsidies for apartment complexes. We know nobody wants affordable housing or people in there, but if we do a smaller percentage at multiple apartment complexes, the impact's not as big as everybody's always concerned about. So this is exactly, we should be using this money out of our affordable housing fund. And I think I said last year, let's just budget this and let's do it, because it does get cold here and there's going to continue to be a need for this for pads. So I would think we did a combination of took it out of ARPA interest and affordable housing, something, but I mean, this is exactly what that fund is there for, is for helping our people. And again, people who can't afford housing because the costs are escalating. This is where we should be using that money.
Thank you, Member Zay. Anyone else in the back row? Member Krajewski?
Yeah, real quick, I agree with the affordable housing, and then I agree with the money, the 342 they need, but I think maybe we need to help start looking at more solutions as a county. I know there's several office buildings now that are being converted into apartments. I know one that's going on now that's 90% vacant. So we're looking at conversions. So maybe we help look around for maybe empty office buildings, do conversions into those apartments. There's also a couple hotels that are just not doing well because of locations, et cetera, that maybe can be able to be converted and pads like they did with the Red Roof Inn. So again, a more longer term solution, we have money set aside, and there's people that can help in the conversions that actually do that. I know they did a lot in the city of Chicago. They're doing them nationally, but doing conversions of office building, you know, we have a lot of empty vacant space, but there's also some hotels similar to Red Roof Inn, others that aren't doing well. So we should maybe have, whether it's affordable housing or some group, help as a county, help work with you to find a second location. This is just for homeless people, but you know, we have the affordable housing issue. And then, do you have the hotel rooms lined up where you're going? And I assume since you're not for profit, you're not going to get charged all the hotel taxes, et cetera.
We get a very good deal, especially because we're looking at the same hotel we've used for the last couple of years, and they know the county board has been in support of this. So I think you helped our hotel.
Which hotels?
I would rather tell you privately
fine.
just for client safety reasons.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Member Torsey?
Thank you. I just want to respond to Member Krajewski's because he did have some good ideas. And we had talked about this with Vice Chair of Human Services, with Garcia, myself, and Chair Conroy. The cost of the hotel isn't the problem. It's the cost to maintain the program. And I know PADS spends, what, $3 million a year? Or maybe not that much on IHC.
Yeah.
So that's the issue that we run into.
Short term. And thank you both. Member you? Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think I had similar thoughts with regard to Member Kajewski about more like solutions as opposed to these short-term things, which I totally agree that we should be giving this money for this particular issue and cause. I just want to ask about the functional zero. So I was at your DuPage pads event and there was somebody from, was it Peoria? I forget. Rockford, and they were talking about functional zero of no more homelessness in their community for a particular population. And I'm just wondering, is there something that we can be doing? I mean, I understand this is 342,000 for this specific issue, but can we start talking or thinking about how do we get to that functional zero? You guys have thought
Absolutely.
about that, I'm sure, but.
Our friend Lisa Snipes was at a conference actually to talk about it this week, and I talked to her at like 4:10 today. So very interested in it. Quite frankly, this would allow for functional zero during the winter months for us because we'd have a bed or at least with the option, the second half that I'm presenting, at least a chair for everyone who has no place to stay. Thank you.
Great. Member Heather?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry, Member Evans. We'll go down the line.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, April, for being here. I just want to say thank you for all the work that you do. I will fully support the funding, and I honestly couldn't care less which fund it comes out of. I think as a board, I've really enjoyed this ARPA money. It was what I feel bad for any board that didn't experience the magic of ARPA and helping everyone out because there have been previous years where, you know, you have to make some really, really tough decisions. Our tough decisions have been who to give this money to. So if it comes 100% out of ARPA interest, I'm at peace with that. It was great while it lasted, but I'm pretty indifferent to where it comes from as long as we do funding. Thank you.
Member Evans, Member Heather?
Thank you, Madam Chair. April, thank you for being here tonight and the work that you do. It's so needed. As we are already complaining about the temperatures that are out there in the month of November, I cannot even imagine what someone will have to go through who is unhoused during the month of December or January, February, March. So I'm fully in support of that. I just need a little bit more clarification on the numbers that you shared with us. So your ask is $343,000, $990. And you said out of this, or is it, this is what you need from us and $150,000 are coming from state?
Yes, 150 is coming from the state and another 20,000 is coming from a
private donor
who will only fund families. So that's about the number of, that should cover about our rooms for families when we're moving them in.
Okay. And then you mentioned one number, $173,990. What is that number?
So that is my request of the county for our hoteling model. And
okay.
So half of what I'm asking for is hoteling, and then the other half is to extend our access 10 hours. As you all, I know, get phone calls from folks in the community who don't have a place to stay. This would allow you to be able to send them to us immediately, no matter the time of day, because right now we tend to close, we're open at 8 and we close at 3 or 4. And so what will wind up happen, and I've actually watched this happen in person. Someone will come into our parking lot at 7 or 8 o'clock at night and they have nowhere to, and we can't intake them until the next morning. And so they don't have anywhere to sit, and they wind up at the Wheaton Police Department lobby, which jams up the police department lobby or emergency room lobbies. And I do have a concern that they could wind up in the lobby of the Behavioral Health Center this year, where you want that available for like a teen who's having suicidal ideation.
And mental health emergency.
Exactly.
So those $343,990 include $173,990.
Yes, that would be the both pieces.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Great questions.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Member Martinez?
Hi, sorry, I'm fairly new, so it's nice to meet you. I have some basic questions just because I'm new. So this money, it's probably gonna happen every year. They're gonna need some money. What plans are there in place so that when next year, when there isn't this ARPA money, what's gonna happen then?
That's a great question. So quite frankly, my hope this year was to not have to come to you all to ask for money, period, because the Illinois Shelter Alliance had been advocating for the state to allocate ETH, which is Emergency Transitional Housing Funds for it. And then my hope had been, if I was going to ask you for anything, it would be the access center part. They allocated $7 million in DuPage County, only got $150,000 of that. We put in this request in July, for the July budget. It got approved. We applied in October. We'd been waiting, and then I found out the answer honestly, probably because I told them I was going to be presenting to you all today. And so I think we're the only shelter provider in the state that knows how much they're getting. So my hope is that we can either advocate for the state for it, continue looking for other funding sources for it. We do not have to do this. We like our regular work throughout the year is our interim housing center, which has 309 people per night, 112 of them are kids. And so what wound up happening last year and the year before is that we had an overflow number, and the goal was to take those folks and try and get them into a safe place to stay. In other communities, they just wind up sleeping like behind the Dunkin' Donuts, and then you read about them in the paper because tough stuff happens. So we're looking at what to do to try and handle what has become an increased number of people and to make sure they have a safe place to stay. I was sharing with a few folks at one of our events, since the fall hit, we've already had 2 people who died because they were encampments in the conservation area. And so the goal is to try and get those folks in because we know that number goes up during the winter time. I wish I had an easy, like, this is my funding source moving forward. We really hoped it was going to be the state because we've been trying to share that need. The problem really is how much the state has to give out, knowing this was a tight budget year. And I think they're really worried about having enough to match for federal funds right now as well.
Okay, and then I guess I have just a process question. What exactly are we voting for? What are we doing? Just
So you are voting on nothing tonight, but it would be nice if we can get a show of hands, because here's what's gonna happen. There's people with an immediate need right now, and April and PADS, like last year, will likely extend some of these offers now if the temperature, knowing that they can count on the board coming in the 20th. So they will likely extend some funds. So that agreement that we bring to you the 25th of this month will likely cover, we will give them the 344,000 probably upfront, and it will cover expenses they had between now and that date and after. But they need to have a very solid feeling that this board is behind it. Would that be an accurate feeling? She will likely start that like right away if she gets the show of hands from you guys.
Okay, and then we've got front row. Ronick? Sorry, no, I haven't gotten that far yet. Sorry, people still want to say something really, really quickly. We're running out of time now.
I'll be quick, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to April. I was happy to support this last year, and I am super happy to support this year. The work that you guys do at PADS and your staff is incredible. I was also at the event, the PADS event, and just listening to all the different perspectives, and especially one of the people who was in your interim care facility. What a wonderful speech, encouraging, and I'm also indifferent to where the funds come from. I do believe that as needs rise, I mean, just a lot of the social service, agencies are being strained in the county. I mean, the amount of coats being given out is, more than double in a lot of facilities. The food pantries are seeing a lot of strain. A lot of the need is rising, and definitely looking forward to long-term solutions, whether it is for specifically PADS and other areas of community services that we can help with. I'm always on board, and I think this is money well spent. And I'm so grateful for you and your staff and all that you do. So thank you, April.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cahill.
Real quick, thank you, April. You are terrific. You are so competent. You could run a corporation, which you basically do, but thank you very much for your great work. I really appreciate it, and I'm 100% support.
Okay.
Thank you.
Member Colbert, one last.
Thank you. Thank you so much, April, for coming in. I was happy to support last year. You guys do incredible work, and this is incredibly important for our homeless population. So thank you for all that you do. I just wanted to touch back with Member Krajewski's comments, because I believe we brought it up last year too about conversions of these office spaces that are available. But I wanted to add something else too, just a suggestion, if you don't mind. I was thinking maybe if we could have, just for long-term sustainability, maybe looking into programs to help the homeless get back up on their feet and working with WorkNet, DuPage, or whatever we can do so we could reduce this homeless population every year and get them on their feet so they could you know, be successful in their lives. And I love these heartwarming stories, you know, from people who went from homeless to having successful businesses or, you know, nice jobs and taking care of themselves. So that was just that's the long term.
Thank
All right, thank you, Member Gobert and Member Tornatori, and that's gonna be it.
Thank you. I fully support this, April. I just want to be clear. The Housing Solutions Committee, which I'm chairing, this isn't affordable housing. This is a way to end homelessness. So they're two separate things. Let's remember that. Quite frankly, I wouldn't have a problem if we took the money out of the Housing Solutions budget, but the chair would have to be okay with that. But I think ultimately, as you know, Ida has helped with this, continue to work me with them because we've done it in the past, so we can continue to do it. And we obviously need to come up with something different. And if part of that extra 5 million is going to go toward ending homelessness versus affordable housing, I'm okay with that too. I mean, we just have to figure out a way to stop you from having to worry every December or November about where people are going to stay. But
All right.
good luck.
Thank you so much. And then I'm just gonna oh.
Can we work with Help April? May Andrews with intergovernmental, but we should go to the towns also. I mean, you're helping Downers Grove by getting them out of the library, but they should also participate. One, so we can reach out and help them. And two, can you get like a dollar amount for one room with the $17 food? And I think we get those out into the Rotary clubs. I'll be happy to go to the ones that by me, but sponsor somebody for a day, whatever the cost is for a hotel room, you know, whether it's $110 to help the homeless. I think if you get some of these service organizations and the communities involved, you'll be surprised how many more, you know, we can get another matching here. But I think we should do those two things. Okay. But I think the town should get involved. They have money too, and we're helping them by reducing police. They have to patrol. So for them, it's a benefit if they can provide $5,000 or however many.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna remember the Rotary idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and maybe Member Hona can bring it to the mayors and managers. You know, April, I am 100% behind you. I'm one of the ones who called you last year actually and said, I have somebody who needs somebody. So, you know, I'm going to ask for consensus, but I'm pretty much sure who it's going to be. But anybody in consensus of giving April this money for this year? I think that is unanimous.
Thank
you. You're very, very welcome. And thank you so much for presenting. Okay, I'm going to have Jeff Martinowicz come up, and I just want you to explain a little bit before we go into our executive session about the invoices and pay lists, real quickly.
Yes, thank you, Chair Garcia. I did want to take a moment to explain our process of paying our invoices or our accounts payable system. So departments and elected officials and accounts payable in the finance department input invoices into the AP system. It's called MHC. Invoices are routed through an approval route where the last approver in that department has to be the authorized signatory. The auditor's office gives a recommendation prior to the invoice being paid. Accounts payable imports invoices from the MHC or the AP system into the county's ERP system. Then pay lists are generated every Tuesday and Friday. The treasurer's office cuts checks from the pay list run by accounts payable. Accounts payable emails the county board office the pay order for signature. It's signed by the county board chair, the county administrator, and the finance committee chair or vice chair in her absence. The county board office emails the signed pay order back to accounts payable and finance. The treasurer's office then releases checks to the county clerk. The county clerk mails the checks. So this process is done. The paying bills twice a week is done to expedite payments and ensure that we are in compliance with the Prompt Payment Act. Every finance committee meeting, the pay lists are included on the agenda as informational.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate the explanation. So everybody's on the same board in terms of understanding the pay list. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion now to move the executive session, or I can need a motion, I guess. Yes. Sorry, we are going to, we were just finished 10, which was the PADS presentation, and then he was just explaining something before we go into executive session. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we didn't do 9 yet. I'm sorry. We skipped to 10. We put 10 above for 9. I apologize. And now we're going to go to number 13. We're going to put that before number 9. So can you make a motion? Or can we have a motion to move number 13 before number 9? We have so moved by motion by Vice Chair, second by Member Evans. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we now I'm going to go into executive session. Do I need a roll call before? Okay, so we need a motion to go into, okay, we got a motion by Member Heather, second by Member Honig to move into executive session. A roll call for that. Okay.
Member Cahill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to read what it's going to go about. The executive session is pursuant to Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2. This is for litigation. Okay, now roll call.
Okay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert.
Aye.
Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi.
Aye.
Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Member Honig.
Aye.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
Member Martinez. Member Ozad. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to item number 9, informational, and I'm gonna turn it over to Vice Chair Cahill.
So I move to receive and place on file payment of claims, wire transfers, appointments, and grant proposal notification.
Okay, we got a motion to approve by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Tornatori, and discussion by Member Krajewski.
I'm making an amendment to amend informational items placed on file A, B, C, and D to remove on 9A325-2662 on page 5 GBS 115-99745 and Prager moving storage 113,710 on page 7 to vote on those separately to allow all the members to vote and receive placed on file everything else, and then we can vote on the other 2 separately. As informational items.
Get that? And with a motion, do we have a second? Second by Member Zay. Roll call. Let's get a roll call. Yes, Member Tornatori.
I appreciate what was just said, but these are informational items.
Correct.
I pulled 2 off and voted on them separately, and the other
then
ones
you
are
gotta
all
make
we
a
voted
motion.
on.
If you want to make a motion and pull them off,
I
that's
just
number
did.
1, but they're paid already.
That's fine. I just pulled
Okay.
them off.
He's making a motion to pull off of the combined items and to wants to vote for them separately, if I'm understanding the motion. Is
Just
that
the 2,
correctly?
I pulled those 2 specific
Yes.
off of that one, and we'll vote those separately, and we'll vote the rest of them to receive and place on file.
Okay, and it was seconded by Member Zay.
Can we
I think we'll get a roll call on that.
information?
Sure. Yeah, I know. Point one. I think it,
Because I don't want anything to do with voting for those 2. We'll vote separately, and you can vote for it or not vote for it.
okay.
Can we do that?
This one.
I'm being told you can abstain, Member Krajewski, then on those
We
items.
got a motion and a second on the floor.
But these are informational items. All you're doing is receiving them and placing them on file.
I know. and
You're
I'm-
saying you don't want to receive them or
No,
place them
they-
in file?
I pulled those 2 off, and I'll do a second motion after the first one, receive and place on file, then I'll do the other 2.
And what are you going to do on the other 2?
I'm gonna vote no, everybody else probably vote yes, maybe Zay will join me, but.
Vote no to an informational item. It's just informational, receiving and placing on file.
It's just
I don't want to see it.
civil disobedience.
No, I just instead
Okay,
of.
all in favor of the motion as put out there by
Amendment.
Member Krajewski? Roll call? You want a roll call? Let's get a roll call on that, just so maybe it'll just go with.
Sure. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
You said no.
Is it thumbs up, thumbs down?
I'm sorry, point of order. Our state's attorney just said it's informational. This is not something. Paul, would you please clarify for us what the law?
It's informational. If he wants to make a motion to amend, to take them off, you guys can vote on it and vote aye or nay on that.
That's what we're voting irony on.
No.
And we're voting.
We're voting on whether or not to amend.
Amendment.
The men pull those two off, accept it, and then.
All right, so we have yes from member Cahill, member Childress. Okay, no. Member Covert,
There's no harm. Yes,
member Desart? No. Member Eckhoff? Member Evans? No. Member Galassi?
Yes.
Member Garcia?
No.
Member Heather? Member Honig? No. Member Krajewski?
Aye.
Member LaPlante?
No.
Member Martinez? Member Ozad?
No.
Member Schwarzy? No. Member Tornatori? Member Yu?
no.
Member Zay?
So it's 6 yes, 12 no, the motion fails. So going back to your original motion. You want to say it again and then?
Please use the microphone because we can't hear
Sorry.
otherwise.
I move to receive and place on file payment of claims, wire transfers, appointments, and grant proposal notification.
Second by member Heather. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, that motion's carried. Done with that. Okay. Any old business?
Yes, I'm sorry, but we do have
Okay.
old business very
Member
quickly.
Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you. We do have old business. On 11/5 of 2025, we received an email from the recorder asking about clarification on the transfer of the funds from the document storage fund to the county automation fund. And as our CFO said in the meeting, we did have an opinion from Baker Tilly, the partner at Baker Tilly, before we did that transfer. And we got a written opinion subsequent to her email. And basically the written opinion, I just want to read the last sentence. Baker Tilly says, "We believe that correcting this classification error through a transfer from the recorder document storage fund to the county automation fund in fiscal 2025 is a reasonable course of action, as this transfer will be recorded as an other financing source and use. It will not impact reported revenue." So we did the correct thing. Thank you.
And I believe we'll be sending this information to the recorder in an email. Is that correct, Nick? Right? Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Is there any other questions on that or any other old business? Any new business? Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are sandwiches in the break room.
Okay, good to know. Eat quickly because we're really late. Member Heather.
Just 15 seconds, Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to acknowledge 4 of the Boy Scouts that were in the lobby today that I believe sat through the longest finance meeting, at least in my tenure so far. So I just want to acknowledge the Boy Scouts from Naperville District 204. I don't know if they're still here, but they're here.
Yeah,
Hi, guys. Thank you for still sticking around. Thank you for being so involved civically. And thank you, Jen and Kristen, for bringing them here. And I'm just excited, and I know it's a lot of work for a lot of our staff members and board members, but having one evening meeting allows for us to invite our people like our Boy Scouts. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Okay, I believe we got a motion and a second on that one. All in favor? We are done.